From that short commercial break, we are still on the Educate program at Capital One Media.
Okay, before you actually bounce into the topic of today, I know most of you outside there are aware that the Muslims and the Christians actually for their holy months, where the Muslims are for their Ramadan and the Christians are actually for their Lent period. So this is a period where people actually passport samosas and you don't actually eat Rolex. So that's basically about it. But I'm to actually follow the religious obligations of fasting during Ramadan and Lent period. Otherwise, if you don't fast, God won't be impressed of you, and you know what God can do if God is annoyed for you. So into the topic, we are still going to continue our topic of today. So basically, we're going to actually talk about the factors. What are the factors affecting better performance in Koboko and West Nile at large? The topic of today. That's actually our next question on that. So what can you add on that?
On that, concerning factors of the performance on these schools, I'll take it to be like this. The factors, let me say the biggest factors we have here. Let me say infrastructure, like from those government schools. Let's take infrastructure to be one of the things.
That's true.
Yes, when you go to schools, like let me talk of the other schools. Let me talk of schools like Nyarlo Primary School. Yes, they have that building which is like well storage, but when it comes to their stationaries, you find that teachings are not going well because of the things that they are lacking. Some of the things they are lacking, like you can get the books, there are some which are there, but the other contents when they teach, you don't find them in the books that they are teaching. So teachers have to go and do other things from out. So concerning that, I think that is like a big factor, considering that.
Okay, to add on that issue of infrastructure, by the I'm seeing actually a very great challenge, especially Koboko and West Nile. If you go to these schools, you see there are good classrooms, but when it comes to actually the furniture inside, you see there are only a few benches. Like, as you said, actually, if you go to these schools, you see some of this structure, like some of these furnitures, like actually this one. The stools, maybe the drawers and the lockers are very few. And when these things are very few, you see there's always too much congestion on that. So to add on, one of the factors, if you take the issue of actually labor. So labor can be one of the factors. If you take labor in these schools, it's actually basically the teachers and maybe the non-teaching staffs, especially the cleaners. And if you take the cleaners.
Welcome back from that short commercial break.
Hello viewers, welcome back from that short commercial break.
Welcome back from that short commercial break.
There's that stress that is caused by surgery, trauma, but there's that physical stress that we people go through. So basically, when someone is stressed, the body will release some stress hormones, the cortisol and the adrenaline. So basically, those two will increase acid production in the body. Now imagine you're stressed. You're not like, at least when you're stressed and you're eating food, it's proper. But you're stressed, you've locked yourself inside, you don't want to eat food. And remember, the body was designed in a way that it will produce hydrochloric acid at a certain time. So when hydrochloric acid is being released and there's no food in the stomach, because the main function of the hydrochloric acid basically is to digest food. I remember, and now imagine the hydrochloric acid finds and there's no food in the stomach, so it will now work on the mucosal lining. And secondly, the other stress of trauma, like surgeries. Remember, surgeries, they reduce blood, because blood normally carries oxygen, nutrients. So if there's reduced oxygen carrier, then also nutrients are being reduced. It will be hard, like to now, cause it can predispose one to ulcers.
Okay, yeah, that was a good explanation, and I have just two questions for you. Like, you talked of surgery that can cause ulcers. Are you trying to tell us that having surgery could actually be a bad thing at this point?
Because remember, most surgeries, you're losing blood.